Okay, so if we look at the whole world, and we need to see the whole world and from the gender perspective, and we have an equal world in the gender terms, of course. To some extent we can say that here in Europe we have advanced pretty much, especially during the last 50 years. That more and more women are participating in the labor market, in politics, and there are many kind of different gender equality laws that are adopted and so on. So if we look at the very general picture in the global world, we can see, and this is the finding for the whole Europe actually, and European Union, that the labor force participation among immigrant women from countries with low labor force participation, specifically regarding the women from the countries with low human development index and low gender development index. So that's very important. So economically weaker countries and also weaker countries in terms of gender equality advancements. And what we see in these countries where women are coming that are also participating to a less extent at the European labor markets is that they have very traditional gender role attitudes, and that regards both men and women. And they have also the lower labor force participation from their own countries. If you consider the countries where most refugees are coming here to Sweden, like Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, Iran, the labor force participation of women in these countries is below 20%. And how can we expect then that when they come here that they will automatically enter the labor market? I mean, this is really something that is, it's hard to expect. And we can see here employment rates for various groups of foreign-born and native-born men and women here in Sweden. Here we can see that if we group the countries in different regional areas, we can see that women that are migrant here from African countries and Asian countries, they have the lowest rates in the participation in the labor market. For the African countries is 43%, and for the Asian is 49%, and that's a huge difference if you compare both to men, migrant and native men, but also especially to the native women, native-born women. And more about these gender values that I have been thinking about. Of course, gender, sex roles. This is something that has a great influence on the decision to work and not to work, and what kind of life pattern the people are choosing when they come to Sweden or to other countries. Generally, if you want to just generalize about different gender equality models and how the institutions were built up to strengthen different behavior of women and men. We know that here in Scandinavian countries we have so-called dual breadwinner model that has developed from the 1960s and onwards, and the meaning with this model is that both women and men should participate in the labor market, but they should also take care of the family, and that's why different institutions that we have here are really adjusted to this kind of model. I would also like to say that many European Union countries today are on the path to develop this dual breadwinner model. Perhaps not Eastern European, but many others like Germany, France, Spain, and so on. And then we have this male breadwinner model, and in many countries in the world this is still the leading model to organize the society, and something that is considered to be best for the society, that men are providers for the family, that they are bringing the incomes to the family, and that women, they should take care of the home and the family, and perhaps be some kind of secondary providers, but not the first providers. And this is something that these kind of values are of course in clash with our gender equality model that we have here in Scandinavian countries, but also in some other European countries. And we can see this evidence for Sweden, for example. There are many reports and also papers that are written about what kind of life decisions are made by different groups of migrants. And many of these findings are pointing to this male breadwinner model, specifically during the first, let's say, 10 years of staying here in Sweden. For example, there is a huge difference in the uptake of parental leave if you compare the natives and different migrants groups. So migrant women, they are very used to use all days during the first year, and then also to get the second and third child, which means that they are outside the labor market for a quite long time. And they have also much higher nativity rates than the natives, and especially women that are coming again from countries from the low level of economic development and also gender development. So that's also something that is very interesting, and we need to know more about it. Then this behavior is not completely static. This is also something that is important to say, that these cultural values, they are also changing by the time that the people are spending here in Sweden or in other European countries. So we can see here, for example, the labor force participation of refugee women after the time of arrival. During the first year, it's only 12%. After 2 years, 21. After 5 years, 36. And after 10 years, 56. And after 20 years, it's over 70. So that's very interesting. But of course, then they don't have these small children anymore, and perhaps they have some other values about the functioning of the societies, or perhaps, I don't know, we need more research about these life choices, I think, that they are making. So we need more sociologists to give us answer on that, how that function really. But this is problematic, and it's problematic especially from the perspective of the living conditions for these families, but also, of course, for the women's autonomy. They are also missing, of course, their opportunity to educate themselves. This is something that I think should be priority for every state to really push for education. And to organize some kind of programs that will I don't know, give these women some other thoughts what they can do here in Sweden, because this is also something that many of these women with the low education, they are also stuck in the public sectors with the low earnings and so on. So this is also the vicious circle that we have here. So, that was all. I was fast.